we're not here to make up the numbers, we're here to compete as well. This squad, with the power they have on their day, they can do anything they want. Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the Glassgirls network. Today I'm proud to be joined by Meg Bailey, the sometimes captain of the reserves team.
Captain now at the minute.
Yeah, we'll take that title for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we've come back today from a 3-2 loss at Wolves development team. Meg, what did you think of the game?
It was a really good game. I say it did get a little bit scrappy at times, but we're really holding our own at the moment in the league. 3-2 against a team that were unbeaten last year, won the league. You know, we can hold our heads high with how we've played.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good game. It's good individual performance. It's nice to have some of the first team down today, and you know, they have a real influence on us. Those are the players we have to look up to.
Yeah.
So have the opportunity just to play with those guys, like players like Alex and Lois that's come down from Boldmere, and you know, Mill Rogers. It's nice to be a part of that. But no, it's an enjoyable game, and we just have to keep working and hope that soon enough we'll be in a better position in the league.
Yeah.
We are really holding our own at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Wolves is a team you played already. Last time was a 2-1 loss. And we also played them in pre-season as well. I know you featured in that game yourself.
Of course.
How did those sort of different games, how did they compare to each other?
The first game, I say our pitch isn't always at the best of standards, especially from the rain. It was a very different style of game. No one could really get control of the ball in the first meeting at our ground. Whereas today, I think the pace just changed.
Yeah.
Because playing on Astro, you can really get under the ball, control the ball. It's just a different pace of the game today, which we had to adapt to from what we were used to from the first one. But every time we've kind of held our own again. It's just adapting different formations and what fits based on even on the pitch itself. On a muddy pitch, you can kind of hold your own a little bit in a kind of flatter formation, whereas today we had to kind of be on it with being the Astro, moving the balls a lot easier to move a bit quicker.
Yeah. And you mentioned it there previously. Obviously, we had a lot of first teamers in the squad today. Alex, Lois, Mill. What is it like for you personally, sort of playing alongside players like that?
From an individual point, I've come from Tier 7. I've never really played above that level until I've been at Stourbridge. So to have the ability just to play alongside and even train alongside players that have, you know, they've come from Tier 3, like Mill, Lois, they've come and stepped down to 4. It's a real honour to play with them, and you know, I look up to all of them as players. That's what we have to look to aspire to be. Like the reserves, that's our role, isn't it? It's to be on their toes, to make them better, to make us better. Yeah. So I really enjoy being a part of that and getting my opportunity to play with them on, especially like trainings on Tuesday, Thursdays, and then getting to play alongside them today. It was a real honour to play with them. Yeah,
and I think for me personally, from what I've seen and heard in recent times, you know, I think it's fair to say you're going through sort of a very transitional period with the residents at the moment. Obviously, G's come in charge. There's been a few changes of personnel. How have you sort of found that?
I think it's really good. I think as a reserve team, you have to expect that because you've got the 18s that are pushing again, that come into it, and then first team that need minutes. We're used to having that transition. You have to be used to the fact that you're not going to have a consistent 16. They're not going to be the same 16 every week. And I think we're adapting to that this year. It's getting used to the fact that is the case. It's not going to be, this is your set 16 or every week, where now and again one or two change. It is that adaptation to bring in, you know, the ones that are pushing from the 18s, the ones that need the downtime from the first team. But I think as a squad, considering where we've come from coming from Tier 7 to where we are and holding our own and only losing by 1 goal at the minute to most of the top teams that last year were dominating this league. And like I said, Wolves unbeaten last year and won the league. You know, we can hold our heads high with the way we are right now.
Definitely. And yeah, you mentioned it there, like a good performance today, a good win for you last week as well, and even at Portsmouth, another good performance. What is it that sort of compares what G's bringing now to the side on the pitch rather than what you've had maybe previously?
G adds a lot of passion. I'd say you can see with the way she coaches that is her life. It's, you know, she predominantly wants to be at football. She's always looking at, you know, the video footage. She's always pushing us in literally every aspect. The detail of training has just stepped up that little bit.
Yeah.
Where, you know, we're starting to understand, like, even simple things like last year we may not have covered such things as like run types, and, you know, it's the level of detail has just really stepped up for us at the minute. And I think G as well, she's so personable. She's always looking out for the best for their players and her players. You know, if one of us even looks slightly down at training, she makes that extra effort to go and contact them or see how they are. It's just, I feel like the passion she's following is following into us now a little bit, so we've become a lot more passionate than we probably were last season. Obviously at tier 7, it was the games you have to adapt. You've got a topper side and a lower side of it all. You just like now the passion of it all is it's bringing it out in the players, which is what I would say the big difference is that because she's showing so much passion now, it's bringing it out on us. That's where I think the performances are coming from.
Definitely. So thinking about last season, obviously you went under the title of the development team. I can't get my words out. How does what we have now with the Resis and the league that we're in now compare to what you know was the development team?
Oh, it's a massive step up to go from tier 7 to, you know, the national reserves league. You're playing some of the best academy players in the country, in the Midlands especially, compared to some of the, you know, the Northern and the Southern division. The Midlands has always been known as one of the most difficult divisions to be in, and you know, you're playing with the likes of people that could potentially be doing the WSL if Wolves make it this year. Hopefully they do. You're going to be playing players that are future WSL players, so it's a real step up compared to last year where people didn't take football seriously. Tier 7 can sometimes be a sense of they're there for the enjoyment, whereas now you can see these players, they want to be in their first teams, they want to go and be championship WSL players. So our mentality has to change. We can't be just there for, here we are for enjoyment. We have to go and push ourselves and say, look, we want to be future Stourbridge first team players who, you know, could potentially be stepping into tier 3 if they are successful this year. So it's been a real adaptation for us all, but it's a good step.
Yeah.
We're enjoying it.
You mentioned it there, that sort of progression to the first team. You yourself featured for the first team a few times last season.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, what was that whole experience like for you?
It's a real big step up. I mean, the management in first team, I highly respect him as a manager. He's always been that man that's been honest to me. He's told me what I need to, you know, work on, what I'm doing well. Same for Mike. Mike's an incredible coach. I can't say I've been around a coach like him. He's exceptional what he does. So stepping up, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I won't lie, it can be very nerve-wracking, but what we've got here as a club at the minute is because we are already one team, is how it feels. The first and the reserves. When you do step up, you're already comfortable. Yeah. Because you've already got that social aspect where we are already comfortable to go and make that step. It's not like a big different environment. You're scared because you don't know anyone. It's everybody knows everybody. So when you do make that step up, you are comfortable, even though there is a bit of nerves, because you know the expectations are a little bit different. They are out there to go and win games. They are out there to go and win that league. How high can they get? So there is that difference between whereas the reserves, it's a case of let's hold our own, let's see how we get on. And, you know, it's about personal development rather than push, you know, your aim is to push the first team. It's not as a team collective achievement. You're aiming to push the first team, aren't you? But going up to the first team last year, it was an exciting time. And again, I'm still personally trying to push for that.
Definitely.
My aim.
Definitely. And recently we sort of saw the news where the whole women's section is sort of getting a restructure. Obviously, the under 18s isn't going to be a thing from next season. It's going to be the development team. What are your sort of thoughts on that initially?
I think it's really good. I think for the 18s especially, it'd be good for them because girls' football to women's football is just a different game. So having the ability to push them into that a lot earlier than a lot of clubs can is pushing them into women's football at, you know, borderline. Some of them are only 16, 17, pushing them into a women's game where it's a little bit more physical. It prepares them then that can move into the reserves, so then they go to play the best academy players to then push the first team again, who are potentially stepping into tier 3. I just think it's a natural progression, which is much better, because to step from my experience from playing when you're 16, 17, it's really not a physical game compared to the women's game. So to be able to move into, you know, potentially tier 7, where, you know, it is a little bit more physical, the aim of tier 7 is that it's not the technical side of it all, it's how strong you can be as a player to then go and prep you for the higher levels. So I think it's a really good move in the right direction for the club.
Yeah, definitely. And Andy himself has said that it's sort of the difference between the reserves and the development team isn't sort of an age thing anymore. It's sort of dependent on what each player needs for their game.
Yeah.
How do you sort of see yourself fitting into this? What sort of things do you think would suit you best?
Obviously, where I am at the minute, being in the reserves, I feel like that's the side I've needed. I've needed to play that a little bit more competitive. The players are a much higher standard to really get me such out of my, which can be lazy habits. Okay. So pushing into the reserves, it kind of, you learn that you have to be on the ball all the time.
Right.
Whereas in Tier 7, it is a case of, it's all, like I said, focused on the physical side. So like I said, next year, my aim is still pushing for that first and, you know, playing for the reserves. But like you said, there's a difference between the development and the reserves this year. If I felt like physically I need a bit more strength side of the game, you can then go and move into the development and work on that, which is why having a development reserves will be good, because there's two styles of play.
Yeah.
So like I said, depending on the player, if someone really wants to work on that physical side of the game and the nitty-gritty side of the game, then they can go into that development, and it's not really a drop down. It's a case of what you need to work on individually to get to the highest level, which is your first team.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on, obviously today, started yourself in central midfield. Kieran Allen went off injured, unfortunately, and you dropped into centre-back. Obviously, we've seen you sort of fluctuate between the two positions quite a bit, to be fair. Where do you feel like your best position is, and where do you enjoy it the most?
I mean, centre-back, like I said, I've had a bit of experience in centre-back now. It's a case of trusting what the managers believe is my best position. Mm-hmm. So whether that is a game where I'm more suited as a centre-back or if I'm more suited as a centre-mid, I'm happy to play either.
Yeah.
Naturally, I think positional-wise, centre-back kind of suits me a little bit more as a ball-playing centre-back. But like I said, enjoyment-wise, with like in certain games, if I can get myself on the ball, I really do prefer being in the, you know, the central areas, right, and trying to dominate the game. That's always been something I want to do, and have the ball at my feet, be able to turn the player, go and play it through the passing lanes. But like I said, it's down to management. I know I respect them all enough to know that if they feel I'm better as a centre-back, then I'm happy to play there. I'm happy to do a job for the team, especially like you said today with Kieran going down to 10. I've got to do a job, you know, as well as being the captain today is, I have to go take that responsibility, drop in, and play as a squad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, you say sort of you enjoy that sort of more maybe free role, going a bit forward. You scored a goal against Doncaster. Yeah. So what was that sort of goal like for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah, well, if anyone knows me, the club know I'm a bit of a 50-pence head, I won't lie. And that's just how I am, but I'll throw my head on anything. So it was just a case of Ruby, who's again, the girl's on form. Mm-hmm. I really am proud of her at the minute. She put a ball in from corner and I just managed to finally get my head on it and aim, and it went in. You know, purposefully, not just with the 50-pence head. But yeah, that was a goal. You know, it's something I've been working on, trying to get a little bit better at the aim other than the 50-pence head. But yeah, I was happy with the goal, and then to obviously assist Ruby in the game as well. It was really nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to speak on sort of Ruby and players like Kira, Ash as well, who have all sort of made first team appearances this season. How does that make you feel, seeing that players that you're playing with are getting these chances, and does it sort of motivate you even more? Yeah,
motivates us. It just shows that it's possible.
Yeah.
We have to consider that is that if we have got players moving into there, we know as a pathway, you really can go and do it. You prove yourself in games week in, week out. You know, your stats aren't going to, like Ruby, for instance, you know, top goal scorer at the minute in our league. Mm-hmm. She's getting the chances she deserves, which is then moving into the first team, isn't it? And getting your opportunity to show Andy and Mike what you're about. But as players, we know that the opportunity's there if we want to go and take it.
Yeah.
And, you know, the reserves at the minute, we are really pushing. We are a different squad to what we were last year, from Tier 7 to step to where we are now. And holding our own, we know that there's progression there. We know there is. And Andy and Mike have always communicated, you know, training, they'll pull over the ones that, you know, you can clearly show their stats or their performances are earning that. So, you know, they get pulled over to training, and that's, like you said, it's a bit of a motivator. You know that if you play well, you might go and train with them, and if you don't train with them, you might appear for them in a cup game, for instance. So yeah, it is a motivator, and it's really good to see some of them step up. You know, the likes of Kira she hasn't really put a foot wrong this season, so the girl deserves it. Same for Ruby. You know, she made that step down from last year to still be pushing on the toes of some that are there. It's
Yeah.
really good to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, I wanted to speak sort of about, obviously you've worn the captain's armband a few times recently, obviously.
Yeah, just the last few games.
Yeah, Lou's out currently, and obviously, yeah, you've worn it yourself. What is that sort of like for you?
It's an honour. Me, if anyone sees me in the changing room, they know I'm the one that you're either going to banter or I'm going to banter you.
Right.
I feel that, I've kind of already gained that respect through that way. That's the way I would say I've gained it. But it is a real honour, and I like that they all trust me in that role. They know that I'm maybe not the loudest player on the pitch, but I'm a presence. They know if, there's an injury, they know I'm likely to go over, or if there's a problem, I'll speak to the ref. But yeah, it is a real honour. I'm really enjoying it as well. A bit of responsibility for myself as well. It's because our squad is so young. We do have Grace Rogers coming in at 16, is still in school.
Yeah.
We're a young squad. I am one of the older, slightly more experienced. I've had the women's game. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm really glad that G trusts me under that. With Lou being out, I really do.
Yeah. Do you think that's something that sort of every squad at this sort of level needs, perhaps like a more experienced head mixed in with all these sort of young, 16, 17-year-olds?
Oh, absolutely. I think, age does come into it to an extent. Some of these 16-year-olds, Charlie, Grace, they've not played a lot of women's football. It's been a lot of girls' football. It's the experience of getting used to the style of play of women's football and the physical side of it. I do believe it's really vital that, you've got an older figure, got an older head, someone that knows everybody.
So moving forward now. Obviously the future of the reserves team for this season. How do you sort of see that going?
This year it's a groundwork year. It was really trying to work out, can we hold our own? How are we going to get on?
Yeah.
We've got so many new players that come in, like you said, the 18s that can step up. How do we adapt to the transition always changing of players, like the roll-in, roll-out of players? It was really working out, can we hold our own? Can we go and grind out a result out of someone big? Doncaster Rovers is such a well-known club to go, bring them to our place and then, dominate the game to an extent. Like, it's a case of what can we do?
Yeah.
Can we go and create a few upsets, or can we go, or Wolves might come and approach G and say, you're one of the hardest we've played against. That's what we want to do this year, and if that's if we can get some points on the way, it's a good start. Like I said, from where we've been, from tier 7 to now, it's a case of just holding your place in the league at the minute. But I think we've proven that. Definitely. Based on the results, 3-2 Wolves, 2-1 Wolves. We are holding our own. Loughborough Lightning 2-1. We are holding our own.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Did you sort of have any goals or targets set by anyone at the club for the reserves team this season?
I wouldn't necessarily say this is what we have to achieve, but it was more of a case of, like I said, repeated already, it's just being able to hold your own. Can you go and prove yourselves? Can you go and dominate a game? And then, like I said, the main focus is personal development. The point of the reserves is to see who can push up, who can get into that first team, who, if they come down, and like I said, the transitional between the 18s to the reserves to the firsts. But yeah, the aim is to just get as high as we possibly can and just hold our own, no matter what we do, whatever game that comes across.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you very much. We're gonna wrap it up here. Hopefully, that's sort of just answered a few questions people might have about the reserves team and reserves league football and everything like that. But yeah, Meg, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Really appreciate it. And making sure you're liking and subscribing, folks, because if you don't, I don't know, Meg's gonna hit you with a 50p head. Yeah. Right. All right. See you later.